Okay, so let's start with the webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through some of the slides and then we will jump into the code. Okay, so we would not start with the code because that would be kind of, I would say it would be a little complex for you guys. So we'll start with the PPTs. I would give you some background on the Android development as well as on the SDK, and then we will jump into the code. Okay, so what are the objectives for this particular webinar? So we are going to take a look at Android 5.0 SDK. So Android 5.0 is the latest SDK which has been released. Then we will be taking the look at the material design. So material design is the new design templates that are released in Android 5.0. So I would not say them as a template, rather it is completely, they have completely revamped the Android UI. So there are a lot of new controls that they have added, and they have also made development much easier. Okay, then I would be talking about Android runtime. So in case if you have done Java development, you must be aware about JVM, that is Java Virtual Machine. So in the similar way, in Android, we don't have a JVM. Rather, we have something called as ART, that is Android runtime. So I would give you a brief introduction about ART. Then we would be taking the look at compatibility and support libraries. So what does it mean? It means that in case if there are some APIs which are added in Lollipop, so how you can use those same APIs in earlier versions of Android, like in the Jelly Beans, in the KitKat. So let's take an example. In the Lollipop, they have added a grid view where you can show the grids like we are showing into our app. So at the same time, I can use the support library and I can implement that grid view in earlier versions of Android also. So that we will see how we can do that. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So Android L. So now we all know the Android 5.0 version is the Lollipop, but when they released the Android Lollipop version, it was called as L because name was not decided till that time. So it was released during I/O 2014, and now after a month we would also have I/O 2015 where they will be releasing Android 6.0 SDK. So generally the Google I/O, it is the great platform, I would say, when they announce the new versions of Android. Like in the Apple, we have called WWDC, that is Worldwide Developer Conference, where they release the new versions of iOS devices as well as SDK. So in the similar way, Google I/O is the platform in which they release the latest versions of Android. So they had released Android L. So actually they had showcased the capability of Android L in the I/O 2014, but it was available to the developer in November 2014. So the API was 21. So it was having a lot of bug fixes, and I would say it was a stable API that you can use on your day-to-day applications or in the production applications. And the very first devices that were available was Nexus 9 and Nexus 6. So Nexus 9 is the tablet and Nexus 6 is the mobile. So those were first two devices available in market which were having Android version 21, that is Lollipop. And now I would say Android Lollipop is present on the most of the devices. Still there are some devices which haven't received the Lollipop update, but I would say most of the devices has got them. So when I say material design, what is meant by that? So if you see the latest Android applications, you would see they have card-like UI. So like if you are a Google Plus user or if you are using Android 5.0 version on your mobile, you must be seeing that the UI is completely different than the previous version. So that new UI, they are calling it as the material design. So material design, so it has got a lot of bright, beautiful colors, and it is very lightweight, I would say, as compared to the earlier UI. So the performance is much better and it is very pleasant UI. So what are the things they have considered? So they have considered the colors. So they completely changed the color patterns. They introduced the palette structure. So what is meant by palette? I will be talking shortly. They gave special attention on the images, then 2D and 3D rendering. So they made sure that whenever we are displaying particular images or particular elements on the screen, we should also have some kind of shadow so that it will give a beautiful effect to those controls. And there are also concept of card and overlays. So what is meant by card? So as you can see over here in the movie application, so each tile that we see, it is the card. So each card represents a particular movie. Okay, so it's a card UI that we are seeing on the screen, which was introduced in Lollipop SDK. And the design was a flat design, so you would not see the so rounded corner widgets or something like that. So it was very flat and rectangular design that they introduced. Okay, so they also gave special attention on the typography. So a lot of new fonts added into the Lollipop SDK. A lot of new animations they added into the Lollipop SDK. So one of the animation that I would like to show you is, okay, so when I click on particular movie tile, so I'll click on particular movie tile. Okay, so you're not able to see that effect since GoToWebinar takes some time to stream the screen, but it is having the bouncing effect. So it bounces images. So all those kinds of animations they added into Lollipop SDK. So you can make sure that you're making very beautiful applications, and at the same time you're adding a lot of animations in your app so that user would really love your applications. So Google developers also gave special attention on the margins, key lines, padding, and all that kind of things. So you can see in the Lollipop, it was not like a minor change. They worked on every minor details of your UI, like margins, padding, fonts, then animations, and all that things. So I would say 5.0 is completely new UI for the Android. And we are expecting to see much more improved UI in the Android 6.0 version, which is scheduled to release on next month. So we don't know the code word, but it would always start from the M because they are always going with the alphabetical names. So we were having KitKat, Lollipop, and the next version would be starting with the M. So you can see, so in the material designs, so they also added a lot of themes. So theme is not a word which is related to the Android. So theme is always available in a lot of things. Like as a Windows user, we always install a lot of themes. As a mobile user, we always install a lot of themes on our mobile to change the look and feel. So in a similar way, in Android Lollipop SDK, they added a lot of themes. So you can give different themes. So I can say material.light. So what it will do, it will give some light texture on my UI. I can say dark action bar. It will make my action bar dark, which you see on the top of the screen, which is also called as the toolbar. So you can see there are a lot of themes that were added into the Lollipop SDK. Okay, and also when you are defining the theme, so you are not limited to the built-in theme. You can also provide your own color scheme. So it is a major advantage, I would say. So when you are including particular theme, but I want that I want to use the light theme, but at the same time I want to change the action bar color. So I can do something like this. I can say color primary and color primary dark. So color primary dark will change the color of my status bar, and color primary will change the color of my toolbar. So you can see, so there are a lot of attributes which are available in the theme which you can use to change the appearance of your application. And so whatever slides I'm taking you through, so basically I would be covering each and every program and each and every practical in the actual Android development class. So once you join the Android development course, you would be seeing all these things. And also we would be developing the similar application which I just showcased you, that is the movie application. So when you will build that application yourself, you would be learning a lot of things about Android. Like you would be learning how you can create the screens, how you can create the animations, how you can fetch the data from the network, how you can save that particular data in the database, and a lot of things that you will be learning throughout this session. So when I said toolbar, so toolbar is like a top area which you can see over here. So this area, it is called as the toolbar in Android. So you can change the color of the toolbar, and you can also apply different styles to your toolbar. So what you can do is you can also add the items on your toolbar. So let's say I want to add the delete icon on my toolbar. So I can simply say toolbar.set menu, and I will add a menu to the toolbar which would have a delete icon. And if you want to get the callback when user press the delete icon, you can say something like toolbar.set menu item click listener. So you can see the syntax is very much descriptive. So when I say set on menu item click listener, it means I'm saying that I want to listen for the clicks which are happening on your menu item. So menu item contains your delete button or the delete icon. So whenever user will click on that, you will get the listener for that particular thing. So in Android, whenever user interacts with particular widget, So like they may be interacting with the button, or they may be interacting with the radio buttons and checkbox, drop downs and all. So while each and every interaction is going on, you will always get the listeners. So your application will get the callback. So when user press any particular button, your application will get the callback that user has pressed particular button. So you can write the programming logic over there. What you want to do when user presses that button, something like that. In Android Lollipop, a beautiful feature they added is called as elevation. So if you want to add the elevation to your views, so elevation is like shadows. So if you want to provide a 3D effect to your view, you can always add the shadows using the Android elevation attribute. So I can create a view, I can create the image view, button, or any other kind of view, and I can add the property Android elevation. So what it is going to do, it is going to add the shadow to your views. Okay, so it seems I have got a question. Is the elevation done only for icons or images too? So Venkat, elevation can be added to view. So icon, image view, button, they are all views. So elevation can be added to all the widgets which are available in Android, I would say. So you can also give the tint color. So what is meant by tint color is, so let me show you the example through the app. So as you can see over here, so here I have given the tint color to my status bar, which you can see on the top. So I have given the dark blue color. So that is something called as tint color. So you can give the tint color to your buttons, checkbox, and all other things. So right now I don't have any checkbox or the radio button over here, but you can apply the similar color to your other controls. Like I want to make my buttons dark blue, I can add the tint color on that. Or if you can see, so on every movie panel, there is a movie title like Lucy, the Cobbler, the Interview. So you can see I have given the tint color to my view. So what I have done is I have given a transparent color to my view over there. So that is called as the tint color. So that we would be seeing while doing actual Android development, how you can apply the tint color to different Android widgets which are available out there. Then in Android Lollipop, they introduced Recycle View. So in this application, that scrolling view that you are seeing, so it is called as the Recycle View. So Recycle View is a very smooth view that they added into the Lollipop. So when you add the contents into Recycle View and when you scroll them, the scrolling will be very smooth. So before Android Lollipop version, we were having list view. So the list view was also a very good widget, but scrolling was always laggy. So there used to be a lot of times there used to be a lag while scrolling down the contents. But in the Recycle View, the scrolling is much more smoother as compared to the list view. So I got a question from Venkat. How can we make the title overlap over the movie card? So Venkat, in Android, we have got a lot of types of layouts. So we have got the Recycle View layout, we have got the frame layout in which you can add the contents on top of each other. So it is done through the layout. So I am using the frame layout over there inside the card. So in the frame layout, what happens? Whenever you add the contents, those will get added on top of each other. So that is the concept. So this was the Recycle View. So using Recycle View, you can make a scrollable list. You can put the images and you can put a lot of other things inside the Recycle View. So Recycle View has got notifications like notify item change. It means whenever you will change any particular item in the Recycle View, it will give you the callback. Whenever somebody inserts a new item or removes the item from the Recycle View, you will be getting the callback. So you can see Recycle View also gives you very useful callbacks whenever data set change inside the Recycle View. And the positioning, Venkat, we have to take care of that. So it would not be taken care by the Recycle View. It will just make a scrollable list for you. Rest of the things we will have to take care ourselves. So you can also apply the Recycle View animations. So right now in our application, we are not deleting any contents from the Recycle View, or we are not modifying any contents. But in case, let's say you want to make the Recycle View where user can also delete few entries, so you can animate those things. Like in the contact application, so you see a lot of contacts, and when user deletes a particular contact, you want to animate the deletion, so you can do that in the Recycle View. So so Android has made it very much easier in the Lollipop SDK. So as I talked about, so Android runtime is like a Java runtime. So you must have heard about Java virtual machine. So Java virtual machine, what it does is it converts your class file into the system level executable file, which can be run on host operating system. So similar task is also done by the ART, that is Android runtime. So as most of you must be knowing, Android is based on Java. So initially when I started with the Android development, I was having a single question. Since Android is based on Java, so why we are not using the JVM inside the Android? So the reason was JVM was intended to run on the desktop platform, which has like Core 2 Duo CPU or the Core i4 or Core i7 CPU. Okay, so it was made to be run on that particular platform. But the Android is like a limited. Android has got the limited set of hardware. It doesn't have Core i7 or Core i3 processor. It doesn't have 4 GB, 8 GB RAM. It has got very limited set of configuration. So what Android developers, so not Android developers, rather the Google developers did, they took the JVM and they optimized it in such a way that it can also be ported on your Android mobile. So that's a thing they did. So that is called as the Android runtime. And we had Java on the mobiles also. So Venkat, so that time the support for runtime was very much limited, like in the J2ME or in all other OS. But Android has got a rich support on the virtual machine or the JVM. So how did they manage? So Venkata, what they did is, so they were having access to the source code of Java virtual machine. So they took the source code and they changed the lot of settings over there. Like they decreased the amount of RAM which needed by the ART, also this processor which would be needed basically. So before the Android runtime, so virtual machine that was available, that was called as the Dalvik. So it was the runtime which were available before the ART. So Dalvik was available till Android version KitKat. So now what Google developers did, so in the Lollipop version, they took out the Dalvik, which was the older version of runtime, and they replaced it with the ART. So ART has got no Java virtual machine, which is, so when I say no Java virtual machine, it means it doesn't have the JVM. Rather, it has got completely its own flavor of JVM, that is called as the ART. And what it does, it takes your Java source code and it also compresses that particular source code. So whenever you are making the applications, you can be pretty sure that all your applications will be compressed. So when you add a lot of images into your application, what ART does, ART compresses all those images, and at the same time, it also makes sure that the image quality will not be affected. So that is a major advantage of using ART, and it also does the same with your Java source code. So before the Lollipop, there was no ART. So yes, Venkat. So before the Lollipop, the virtual machine or the runtime that was available over there, that it was called as the Dalvik virtual machine. It was not the ART. Okay, so I would not go into much technical details of the Android runtime. Rather, it is the performance benchmark that they did. So it was like, again, it is somewhat technical, but you can see the performance in case of ART, which is shown on the right hand side. So you can see the number of operations that are executed. It is taking almost half a time that they took on the earlier versions of the Android runtime, that is the Dalvik. So you can be sure that the ART is almost 200% faster than the Dalvik. So if you have experienced Lollipop version on your mobile, you would see that it is running much more faster than the earlier versions of the Android, like KitKat or the Jelly Beans. So in the Android Lollipop SDK, the another factor they revamped is the Android Web View. So they changed the version of the Web View in Android Lollipop SDK. So they added the newer version of Web View. They updated the Web View. So I would say the update was in such a way, so it would add a lot of security patches. So the Web View, which was available before the Lollipop version, so it was having a lot of security issues. So they addressed all those security issues in the latest version of Web View, and also there were some JavaScript hacks that hackers can do in earlier versions of Web View. So they just fixed all those things over there. And they also added some new permissions in Android 5.0 Lollipop SDK. So earlier the thing was, so one of the examples that I would like to give you, in earlier versions, if you want to read the contents from the SD card, you would not require any permission. But in the Android Lollipop SDK, if you want to read something from the external storage, you will have to give the permission over there. So those are the things that they added over there. So I have got a question from Venkat. So when we develop an app for the lower versions, we should take care that it will run in both Dalvik and ART. So Venkat, fortunately, we don't need to take care of that since Android automatically. So what happens is when your application runs on the earlier versions of Android, Android will have the Dalvik runtime over there. So what it would do, it will automatically make your app compatible with that particular runtime. So as a developer, we don't need to do anything. So it will all be taken care by the Android internally. So some of the minor changes that they did in the Lollipop SDK was like the privacy settings for the lock screen. So there were some issues, there were some bugs in the lock screen regarding privacy. So they fixed all those issues. Heads up notification they added. So previously what we used to have the notifications in the notification bar. But now in the Android Lollipop SDK, you get the heads up notification. It means, let's say if you are playing a game, so on top of game, there you would see the notification. So you don't need to just, if you just want to take the abstract look on what notification contains, so you don't need to drag down that notification panel. You can just see it in the notification, float notification layout over there. They also added a lot of controls in the camera, then burst mode, and a lot of new settings that were added in the camera. And the major feature that was added in the Lollipop is like the power saver. So you can switch on the power saver in the Lollipop, and you can restrict a lot of background operations that are going on in your mobile. So when you are low on battery, you can just restrict a lot of things that are happening in your mobile, and you can save battery. So I would say those are very small changes, but again, they were very important. So also one of the things that they added was the compatibility libraries. So what is meant by compatibility library is, so when you develop an application for the Lollipop, so how can you make sure that same application will also get run on the other versions of Android? So using the compatibility library. So using the compatibility library, what they did is they added few libraries into your Android SDK so that when you are using any Lollipop APIs, so those APIs will also run on the earlier versions of Android. So that is the compatibility library. So one of the examples that I would like to give you is the recycle view. So let me show it to you. So you can see over here. So in the application, I have added a lot of libraries over there. So few of the libraries are the recycler view. So recycler view is a library which was added in the Lollipop SDK, but at the same time they also created the support library for the recycle view. So what will happen is, so now I can run this application on earlier versions of Android also. So you can see the recycle view in let's say in Android Jelly Beans or in Android KitKat. So same way they also added the support library for the card view. So you can have the card view widget in the Lollipop SDK, as well as you can have the card view in the earlier versions of Android, like in the ice cream sandwich, KitKat, or in the Jelly Beans. One of the support library that they added was the palette. So palette is the library using which you can extract the colors from your images. So let's say if you got some image view and you want to extract the colors from those images, so you can extract those colors using the palette library. So whenever you are seeing the support keyword over there, it means those libraries were added in the Lollipop SDK, but they are also compatible with the earlier versions of Android SDK, like KitKat or the Jelly Beans. Okay, so basically all those libraries you specify in a file that is called as build.gradle. So whenever you create a new application, you specify the set of libraries that you are going to use inside your application. So those libraries you will be specifying in the file that is called as build.gradle file. So what happens is, so whenever you compile your application, what it is going to do, it is going to take all those libraries and it's going to build your application with those libraries basically. So this is like a definition file where you declare all those libraries. Also, you can see inside the build.gradle, I'm going to define something called as compile SDK version and the build tool version. So build tool version is something like a compiler. So whenever you create a new project, those things will be automatically added by the Android. But I just wanted to give you the brief on what it is. So build tool version is like a compilation platform. So it is going to compile your application with the build tool version 22.0.1. And compile SDK version 22, it means it is going to include all those APIs into your application which are available in the Android version 22, which is Lollipop version, that is 5.1. So these are few options that are available in the build.gradle file. So you can just come over here and you can change those options if you feel appropriate. So I can change the application ID. So what is meant by application ID? Application is like ID is like a unique identifier for your application. So Satya, yes, so there was the enhancement for the notification was also done. So as I said, they added the heads up notifications on Android. So what is meant by heads up notification? So you don't need to drag down the notification panel. You can just see that notification which is floating on the top of your application. So that is called as the heads up notification. Okay, so this is the structure of the build.gradle file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take you through the Android manifest file, which is one of the most important file in Android application. So what Android manifest file contains? So Android manifest file contains the useful permissions, or rather I would not say useful permissions, those are the mandatory permissions. So if you have installed any Android application on your device, you must have seen something like this application will able to access your contacts, or this application want to access your file storage. So how it shows you that information? So it is based on the permissions which are included in the application manifest file. So we are having the permission over here, that is android.permission.internet. So now what is going to happen? So whenever you will install this application on your device, that application will ask you for the internet permission. And why we are requiring that internet permission? Because we want to fetch the data from the network into our application. So as I said, we are going to load the list of movies from the cloud. So ultimately, we would require the internet connection for that. So that's the reason we are providing the internet permission over here. So if we don't provide the internet permission, we would not able to fetch the data from the network. Also, manifest.xml is the file where you would also specify the theme for your application. So if you remember, as I told you, in Android Lollipop, they added a lot of themes. So where you would specify those themes, so I specify it in the application tag. So themes defines how your application will look like. And also you can customize the built-in theme if you want. And Android manifest file also contains the definition for all the screens which you will have into your application. So just to give you the abstract idea, you can see over here something. Okay, so let me turn on the line numbers. So as you can see on the line number 14, I'm specifying the activity named as dashboard activity. So what is meant by activity? So activity is like a screen. So as an end user, we always call it as a screen, like movie listing screen or movie detail screen. But as a developer, we call them as the activity. So as you can see over here, we are having the two activities. One is the dashboard activity and one is the movie detail activity. So basically those are the screens. So whenever you're creating the application and whenever you're including the screens into your application, so all the screens definition, you would have to declare them into the Android manifest.xml file. So this is the file where you would have the permissions and where you would have the screen information. So I got a question from Raj. How will it run in the lower versions? So Raj, what we do is while writing the program, we write the if condition. If device SDK is like greater than 20, then use this particular API or use the backward compatible API, something like that. So in the program, you write the if condition. You programmatically detect the current device version, and if it is like greater than 20, you would be using all the APIs which are available in 20 and above, or you would be using the backward APIs. So something like that. Okay. So yeah. So what happens is, so whenever you're making an application, so you would always start with the layout file. So layout is a screen where you would define the user interface. So in Android, whenever you are making an application, you would always have the UI file where you will declare the UI, and there you will also have the activity file where you will write the business logic. Okay, so as you can see over here, we are having something called as activity underscore dashboard. So activity underscore dashboard is a screen where we see all the movie tiles. So I have defined the UI. So the UI which I am using over here, it is called as the linear layout. So as I said, in Android, whenever you want to add the controls on the screen, you always add them inside the layout. So in Android, we have got a lot of layouts out there, like grid layout, where you can add the controls in the grid-wise manner, or you have got the table layout, where you would add the controls in the rows and column. So a lot of UIs are there. So a lot of layouts are there. So one of the layout which I'm using over here is the linear layout and the frame layout. So we have got the recycle view and we have got the progress bar. So what is going to happen is, so whenever you are fetching the information from the network, you are just going to show the progress bar over there. And when your application will receive the information from the network, you will be showing that information on the screen. So at a time, only one control will be visible to the user, either recycler view or the progress bar. So that's why we are keeping it inside the frame layout. So frame layout is such a layout in which you can add only one control. So here we are making sure that either we show recycler view or we show the progress bar. So we would not be showing both the controls at the same time. So these are the some layouts which are available in Android. So I have also created a detail layout. So one more thing you would notice over here. So whenever you are writing the code for your layout, you can also see the preview on the right hand side, just to make sure how your layout is looking like. So right now I have not kept any images over here, so you would not see able to see the images, but you would able to see some of the text which I have written over here. So again, what we are doing over here, we are making the layouts and we are making them in the nested layout format. So you can also have the layout inside the layout. So that's the same thing we are having over here. So this is the file. So in the Android, whatever layout that you design, you always design it in the layout file. And the programming language that you use to create the layouts is called as the XML. So I hope many of you must be aware about the XML language. So whenever you're creating the layouts or whenever you're creating the UI in Android, you will always create in XML file. And you would also have the Java file, which will have the business logic. So to just give you the example, you can have the XML file where you would define the button, and you would have the Java file where you will write the logic. What should happen when user clicks on that button? So that will go into the Java file. So as you can see over here, so I have created this project and I have added different packages. So whenever we are creating an application, we always create different packages which will also give you idea on what that package does. So like I have got the UI package. So UI package has got the definition for the UI. So how your UI will be looking like. Okay, and so I have also got the model. So model is like the data which I would be receiving from the network. So like you would be receiving the movie name, movie details, movie ratings, movie release date. So all that data will be receiving from the network. So you can see I have created one model class which holds all that information over there. So basically these are the different components which I'm showing you. So ultimately what happens at the end, those components will come together and they will form the application. So once you define the model, so model defines what data you are going to fetch from the network. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the network service. So this is the network service. So again, the syntax is little bit tedious to understand, but what this is doing, this is passing some data like, so whenever you want to get the list of movies from the network, so you would be using some web services, like you would be using IMDb web service or you would be using Rotten Tomatoes web service. So as a developer, they will provide you with the key which you have to use for getting the data. So it is not like anybody can come and fetch the data from their server. You will have to register your application and you will be getting a unique key which you will be using for fetching the data. So all that information I'm specifying inside the movie service class. So this is the class which actually fetches the data from the network. So I'm defining that I want the data in the JSON format. So JSON is like a server client communication language. Then I'm defining my API key which I have received, and based on that it is going to provide me the list of movies over there. So finally what I'm doing over here, so if I go into the UI, so as I shown you, you have got the UI which is declared in the XML file, and your Java file will contain the business logic. So you can see, so here I'm just getting the reference of the progress bar from the UI, and I'm playing with it. So like I'm changing the visibility of the progress bar, I'm changing the visibility of the cycler view, like using the set visibility, you can say view.gone, view.visible. So what I'm going to do, before making the hit to the server, I'm going to show the progress bar to the user, and once I receive the response from the server, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that progress bar. So all that things I would be doing inside the dashboard activity. So this is the logic. So you can see I'm calling a method called as fetch trending movies. It means fetch the list of movies from the server. So when you will fetch the movies from the server, you will be getting the callback like success or the failure. So in case of success callback, what you are going to do, you are going to display those movie information on the screen. And in case of failure callback, I'm just showing the pop-up message on the screen, something like error message. So you can see how descriptive the network call is. So you get the callback in two ways, either success or the failure. So in the success, you will be showing the information to the user. In case of failure, you will be showing the error messages. So in case of success, I am calling bind movies. Bind movies means populate the data on the screen. So I have got the adapter class. So adapter class is something like you have a list view, you have a data. So how you are going to put that data into the list view? So using the adapter. So you would first put that data inside the adapter, and then you would put that adapter inside a list view. So technical term, but this is the flow we will have. And you can also start different screens using a method start activity. So let's say if user clicks on any particular movie tile, so what I want to do is I want to start the movie detail activity. So how you can do that? Using start activity method. So using start activity method, what you can do is you can start the different screens over there. So when you will click on movie fan art, the screen that I'm going to start, it is called as the movie detail activity. So as you can see over here, so inside the movie detail activity, what is going to happen? So I'm again taking the reference of all the text views or all the labels which I have created on the UI, and what I'm doing is I'm putting information in those labels. So you can see over here, so I'm putting the information set text, set text. So I'm setting the name of the movie, then I'm setting the release date of the movie, then timing, then runtime, release date, and all that kind of stuff. So set text is the method which you use for putting the information inside the text or the label. So since this is a very short webinar, so I would not able to touch each and every detail about the application, but once you join the Android course, definitely we would be building this application from the scratch. So before building this application, we would be taking a look at the layouts, we would be taking the look at the application components, backward compatibility libraries. So once all those things are done, then you would feel this application is pretty much easier than what you're seeing it now. So basically what happens is, so you would be learning those different components in different sessions. Like there will be one entire session which will be dedicated to fetching the data from the network. There will be one session which will be dedicated to putting and fetching the data from the database. So at the end of all the 9 sessions, you would be developing an end-to-end application in the class. And I've got a question from Venkat. Can we contact you for more information? So Venkat, so if you so it is applicable to all of you. In case if you have any questions, so you have to put a mail to support@edureka.co. So if you want to get the more information on the syllabus, like what are the things are included in the syllabus and what are the practicals that you are going to do, So please put a mail to support@edureka.co and they will certainly help you out with the syllabus and the course duration and course fee structure and all. So basically at the end of the course, you would be creating one live project, end-to-end application, and based on that, you will be receiving the certificates, which would ultimately help you to get a good job in the market. Okay, so that's it for this particular webinar. So as I said, the main intention of this particular webinar was to give you a basic knowledge about the Android development, like what are the components are involved and what are the new things that they have added into the Lollipop SDK. Okay, and Pratik, I would not able to take the ProGuard in the demonstration because again that is a very complex topic and it would require some time. But ProGuard is a tool which you would use to obfuscate your source code so that other hackers cannot have a look at your source code. So certainly that topic is present in our Android course. So there is the 9th session which is dedicated for teaching you the ProGuard, how you can use the ProGuard and how you can apply the different ProGuard settings on your application. Okay, and guys, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to put some reference link. So I would be sending them to the Edureka, and they will certainly send you guys those links. And for developing the Android application, the editor that we are going to use throughout the class, throughout the sessions, is the Android Studio, because Android Studio is the latest editor that is available in market, and now it is the official IDE for developing the Android application. Okay, and Venkat, so the Edureka email ID is support@edureka.co. Okay, so if you guys have any question related to the fee structure, duration, so you can put a mail to support@edureka.co and they will certainly send you all the details. So we would be having one batch which would be starting from the next month, 13th. So you can just join that batch. And yes, so because I will also be covering some of the Java concept throughout the class. So yes, and you would also get the access to the Java tutorials from the Edureka, where you can go through those video tutorials and clarify all the Java concepts. So I have got a question from Rajkumar. Is there any career scope for Android plus PHP? So PHP is the server-side programming language and Android is the client-side programming language. So yes, definitely. So in case if you are knowing both the server-side development as well as the client-side development, so yes, ultimately you will be having a lot of scope out there. Okay, so Natraj has got a question. Yes, Natraj, please ask. Okay, so you have developed a web app in PHP. Okay. Do we have a scope we go with the app can link sim? So basically, yes, Natraj. So we have got the database connectivity in Android using which you can link your application to the database. So yes, definitely yes, you can do that. Okay, so I got a question from Pratik. Being proficient in Django, I want to ask what a future scope of its server side. So Pratik, I'm extremely sorry, but I'm not aware about the Django. So sorry, I was not able to answer. Okay, so I got a question from Venkata. Okay, so apart from the Edureka, I would like to okay. Okay, so Venkata, so I'm extremely sorry, I cannot share my personal email ID over here, but definitely if you have any questions, you can always route through the Edureka. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for your time. So there are a few questions I'm getting. Can we use the Spring Hibernate with the Android? So Pawan, those are the technologies which are available on the server side basically. So you would not able to use them on the client side. Okay, so guys, thanks for your time, and I hope you got the basics on the Android development. So I'm definitely looking forward to see you in the Android development class, where I would be taking you through a lot of more details on the Android development, and we will also see how you can develop the different kinds of applications and the different things that we would encounter in the Android development. So definitely when we will start the next batch on the next month. So by the time we are in the middle of the batch, Android 6.0 must be released. So I would also take a look out through the latest Android SDK version, that is 6.0, and we would also discuss some of the details on that. Okay, so I would like to take a last question. Is it possible to learn development of Android apps after a gap of 2 years of the college study? So Manjunath, so as I would say, it has nothing to do with the gap of the college study. So if you are good in the Java basics, you can catch up the Android development also. So it is applicable to all of you guys. So you have to be comfortable with the Java development. If you are very good in Java, you would find it much more easier, Android development. Okay. So thanks for your time, guys, and have a great day ahead. Bye.